news where you live. 5 News starts with breaking news.
Terrifying moments in Pennsylvania tonight. Thanks for joining us. I'm Darren Bobb.
And I'm Alexandra Burnley. A plane taking off from an airport in Philadelphia crashes into homes and businesses right after taking off. Here's what we know right now. The FAA says the flight was heading from Philadelphia to the Springfield-Branson National Airport in Missouri. The medical transport jet was carrying a pediatric patient and 5 others. Homes and businesses were destroyed. Crews are still on the scene right now, sorting through all the wreckage. It's unknown right now if anyone was killed on the ground. The crash happened in a densely populated neighborhood packed with homes and businesses. Now, we want to warn you that the video you're about to see is disturbing. Here's a look at the Ring doorbell camera showing the moments the plane went down.
As of right now, we have no reports on the number of fatalities. So right now, we're just asking for prayers for any and everyone who may have been affected.
Secretary of Transportation Sean Duffy says he's monitoring this crash. The FAA and National Transportation Safety Board are investigating. The plane's owner, Jet Rescue, offers global air ambulance services.
Crash comes just 2 days after the country's deadliest aviation disaster in almost a quarter century. Recovery efforts still underway after Wednesday night's disastrous mid-air collision. Investigators say they're still working to figure out how that military helicopter on a training exercise and the American Airlines flight crossed paths.
Erica Brown has the latest on that investigation, while John Duran is hearing from the Northern Virginia skating community that lost several people.
Recovery teams are still at work trying to retrieve bodies and wreckage from the icy Potomac River.
We expect to recover all of the bodies. We're going to have to work with the salvage company to do some of that work.
Nearly 50 investigators from the National Transportation Safety Board are looking into the devastating collision of American Airlines Flight 5342 and a Black Hawk helicopter.
We have recovered the Sikorsky black box. It is safely at the NTSB headquarters. It will begin an evaluation, just as the other 2 recorders did last night, to determine when and how to take action.
Preliminary flight data indicates at the time of the crash, both aircraft appear to have been flying at about 400 feet. Military helicopters are supposed to stay below 200 feet. CBS News has learned 2 air traffic controllers were each doing multiple jobs at the time. Former acting FAA Administrator Billy Nolan.
They are well qualified and they are able to multitask. By that I mean you could be handling, even singular controllers are handling multiple flights at any busy airports.
The NTSB will look at staffing along with mechanics, environment, and other factors in their investigation. They have warned against speculation which could be harmful to the probe and to victims' families.
I couldn't have asked for a better son.
29-year-old helicopter crew chief Ryan O'Hara survived a tour in Afghanistan, but was sadly among the victims of Wednesday's deadly collision. His father, in a TV exclusive with CBS, says Ryan loved his job.
They would often do night missions in D.C. He loved it, and most of the guys that he flew with loved it, and he loved his flight crew.
The 67 victims of this tragedy include members of the U.S. figure skating community, many of them young people. Erica Brown, CBS News, Arlington, Virginia.
The general manager of the Ashburn Ice House tells us they believe as many as 14 individuals involved in skating here and another rink he manages in Arlington were on that flight returning from Wichita on Wednesday night. Those are skaters, their families, and their coaches. On Friday night, inside the Ashburn Ice House, a memorial continues to grow with flowers, balloons, stuffed animals, notes, and even candy on display. The tribute of love has been growing since the tragedy happened, and people are still coming in to show their respects and to comfort each other. We saw families clinging on to one another with hugs, some crying. This place that's usually known for so much fun has transformed into a place for grief and comfort.
Look at this. The outpouring has been tremendous, and we're just happy to provide the vehicle for that outpouring and to be a place within the community that individuals can come to and reflect. Has certainly felt healing for me, and I believe for the others here. Our hearts are with them. is all I think I can say, is that we're thinking of them as much as this has affected us and our business and our community personally. It's certainly more touching for them.
Lorenzen also tells us he's working on setting up donations for those skaters directly involved in this tragedy. That will be posted on the Ashburn Ice House website. We've also learned the Washington Capitals will have a moment of silence before the puck drops before their home game on Saturday night. In Loudoun County, Virginia, John Durant, back to you.
The remains of 41 out of the 67 victims, along with those black boxes from the plane and helicopter, have been recovered.
As long as you've got your family and a lot of love, that's all you need.
A Bentonville woman is saying goodbye to a piece of her heart after the home she lived in for nearly 70 years burned up.
5 News reporter Lauren Spencer introduces us to Della, who says that while the house was full of decades of memories and love, she's okay with letting it go and beginning a new chapter.
Love's holds it all together. Yeah. It sure does.
Della Smith remembers buying that land and house for $2,000 in 1958.
We had one son at the time, and I wanted him to grow up in the country like I grew up in the country. We fixed it all up and remodeled everything and made a decent home out of it.
Looking back on her 89 years of life, Della says this was home for her big family.
I had the best husband in the world for 54 years, and we lived it every bit right here. Some of my favorite memories is raising my kids here. And neighbors. We had the best neighbors in the world.
After all those years, the physical reminders of those days turned to ash. About 2 weeks ago on a Sunday morning, her neighbors noticed smoke pouring out of the house.
He come knocking on my door, and I went to the door, and he said, "Lady, your house is on fire." He said, "Ma'am, you gotta go." I said, "You gotta get out of there." And he said, "I mean, you can't go back for nothing."
A chimney fire destroyed the inside of her home.
Heartbreaking. The house was a total loss. Ceilings fell down, everything got wet in every room.
Even though her house must be torn down, she's looking at the bright side. Some of the photo albums survived. And now she's getting ready to move into a mini home on her grandson's land in Missouri, bringing her much closer to her grandkids.
They love their grandma, and I love them. And that's what it's all about.
But she'll always have a place in her heart for those nearly 70 years she lived on 20 acres in the home that built her family.
I've still got the memories, but I don't have my home, you know, and that's the main thing. But it's going to be fine.
In Bentonville, covering news where you live, Lauren Spencer, 5 News.
Nice weekend on tap. We'll drop into the 30s overnight tonight. A lot of us probably wake up to a little bit of cloud cover out there, maybe even some fog. But by lunchtime, we're going to be sitting under a nice sky full of sunshine, and that'll be the trend most of the day. By lunch tomorrow, 54 degrees in northwest Arkansas. We'll see an actual high temperature right around 60 degrees. By 5 p.m., we're starting to cool back down. Skies, though, likely staying clear. In the River Valley, our forecast here looks like this. Partly cloudy to begin the day. We'll hold on to those clouds a little bit through the lunch hour, but more sunshine expected the second half of the afternoon, with highs reaching into those low 60s out there as well. I want to show you a fog predictor. I do anticipate more fog developing over the next few hours. Not as dense as it was this morning, but certainly if you're going to be out and about early to begin your Saturday, you might be mindful of some areas of some patchy dense fog out there. Should be burning off by lunchtime at the latest. What are we tracking in that 10-day forecast? Not only do we have some fog tonight, great weekend, the latest data indicating that maybe these nice, unseasonably warm, spring-like temperatures may last a little bit longer than previously thought. We'll detail those temperatures in just a few.
Thanks, Scott. The Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation arrested a man for murder after a shooting near Pensacola. 2 weeks ago, police were called out to a home near Butler and Clark Avenue. That's where they found Jabriel Montgomery dead. Now the OSBI says they have a suspect in custody, 24-year-old Parker Smith. He was arrested today in Fort Smith. He's been charged with first-degree murder for that shooting death. He's being held in the Sebastian County Jail as he awaits extradition back to Leflore County.
In Pea Ridge, a man is facing multiple charges after allegedly stabbing his wife and his father. Police were called to a home on Dobson Street last night. And right after they got there, Carl Adrian drove away before being chased by a deputy from the Benton County Sheriff's Office. Investigators say Adrian had gotten into an argument with his father and his wife, grabbed a small decorative sword and stabbed his father in the arm before stabbing his wife in the back. Two refused to go to the hospital. Adrian was later stopped in Newton County, Missouri, and is facing domestic battery and terroristic threatening charges.
The trial for a man accused of a triple murder in Madison County will continue next week. Hunter Chenoweth is accused of killing 3 family members in 2021. Lynn and Cheyenne Chenoweth, along with James McGee, were all found dead in a home near Wesley. Chenoweth is charged with 3 counts of capital murder. He faces life in prison without parole or even the death penalty if he's convicted.
We're also working to learn more after a fire at the Western Sizzlin' on Towson in Fort Smith today. Firefighters called out after a report of a fire just after noon. Nobody was injured, but no one has told us about the extent of damage just yet. Tonight, a Gravid volunteer firefighter fighting for his life in the ICU. Tyler Shambles is described as hardworking, dedicated, and a man of service. On Wednesday, he was in an off-duty motorcycle accident that left him with severe injuries. Not only did he answer the call for people in an emergency, but he did so for animals as well, working as a manager at Bentonville Animal Services. In light of the news, his community has come together now to support him and his family.
This Sunday at 8 a.m. until after lunchtime or whenever the food runs out, our women's auxiliary is going to be hosting a pancake breakfast, and all of the proceeds will go to firefighter Shamble and his family.
Now, if you'd like to support, you can visit this story on our website for more information at 5newsonline.com. The tariffs that President Trump has long threatened to impose on the country's 3 biggest trading partners go into effect tomorrow. U.S. will levy a 10% tax on all imports from China, a 25% tax on all goods from Canada and Mexico. The president says this is all based off of border security, but Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is threatening tariffs of his own.
One case, they're sending massive amounts of fentanyl, killing hundreds of thousands of people a year with the fentanyl. And in the other 2 cases, they're making it possible for this poison to get in, number 1. And number 2, we have big deficits.
If tariffs are implemented against Canada, we will respond. We won't relent until tariffs are removed, and of course, everything is on the table.
Tariffs could trigger high prices on a wide range of products and disrupt the energy, auto, lumber, and agriculture sectors.